PRC has a bigger hacking program than that of every major nation combined.
Chinese hackers' gray areas. How deeply has the U.S. been affected?
They will use both legal and illegal means in order to gain technology that they take to China and offer.
How did China become one of the world's top country for intellectual property violations?
A new private intelligence report obtained exclusively by NBC News shows that more than 150 scientists who worked on taxpayer-funded projects at Los Alamos National Laboratory in the last 2 decades are now conducting sensitive research in China.
Why was the China initiative ended? In mid-May of 2024, Proofpoint, a software security service provider based in California, responded to a cyber attack carried out via email. It was suspected to have originated in China.
The lure theme that was designed to deploy the malware was artificial or AI-themed lure. In the content of the email, they specifically were interested in specific software versions and wanted to talk to someone technical about those versions. And then again, highly targeted, specifically against less than 10 individuals with direct connections to a leading AI company.
Miller was referring to a hacker group called UNK Sweet Spectre. They used phishing emails to spread sugar ghost rat, a type of Trojan malware commonly targeted at Chinese-speaking users.
We believe in May of 2024 they shifted to IP theft, at least in this instance, in reacting to the government of China's needs.
Just before the cyber attack took place, the U.S. Department of Commerce announced that it was considering restrictions on exporting artificial intelligence models to prevent countries like China and Russia from using them for military purposes.
We cannot allow China to have access for their military advancement to our most sophisticated technology. And so, yes, we will do whatever it takes to protect our people, including expanding our controls.
At the start of 2023, Proofpoint discovers cyber attacks using Chinese language malware targeting foreign organizations have sharply increased, even showing signs of replacing Russia's dominance in this area. A 2022 report from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services revealed that the Chinese government-backed hacker group APT41 has been conducting cyber attacks since 2014. The attacks have targeted at least 14 countries or regions, including the U.S. and Taiwan. Their targets include sectors such as biotechnology, pharmaceuticals, and information technology. Hacker groups like UNK Sweet Spectre and APT41 steal high-tech through cyber attacks. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to China's intellectual property from other countries. In recent years, China's intellectual property violations have caused significant losses to the United States.
Customs Border Protection Agency releases data. They seized over $3 billion annually of goods coming into the United States that contain intellectual property rights infringing content. And of that, around 50% a year is coming from the combination of mainland China and Hong Kong.
In a 2020 statement by FBI Director Christopher Wray, China's intellectual property theft has become one of the largest transfers in human history. In addition to blatant intellectual property theft, there are many suspicious transactions happening in the gray area. Dr. William C. Hannes, a former CIA official who has extensively studied Chinese industrial espionage, has highlighted these activities. He warns that they pose significant threats to U.S. national and economic security.
The intelligence community uses this term non-traditional collection to refer to gray area transfers of technology that may be legal, may be illegal. We don't know because we don't have insight into what's going on.
These transfers are primarily carried out by Chinese offices dedicated to technology transfer. Specific programs include the 1,000 Talents program, which was once highly prominent at both the central and local government levels in China. In 2015, the FBI released its first investigative report on China's 1,000 Talents program. The investigation focused on whether U.S. experts participating in the program were involved in illegal technology transfers or theft. The alleged violations included hiding collaborations with foreign institutions, establishing shadow labs in China to duplicate research funded by the U.S. government, leaking unpublished research papers from U.S. universities to Chinese researchers, and directly transferring U.S. scientific discoveries and technologies to China. In 2018, under President Trump, the U.S. Department of Justice launched an investigation program called the China Initiative. The goal was to eliminate Chinese technology espionage. The program targeted U.S. tech personnel suspected of having connections to China and potential involvement in espionage activities.
But the China Initiative did not just waste valuable resources, ruined careers, and contributed to anti-Asian hate.
The China Initiative was halted in 2022 due to controversies surrounding racial discrimination and its negative impact on U.S. technological progress. Several Chinese American experts who were investigated had their charges dropped. However, this did not calm concerns across the U.S. government about research collaborations involving China.
There are lots of security concerns with regards to research and collaboration with China. The China Initiative, in my opinion, was a failure because it was mainly trying to pursue, where it failed, it was trying to pursue criminal cases against academics in activities that it's very hard to prove or is not necessarily illegal in nature.
In 2020, Stoff participated in a study by the Hoover Institution on China's Defense 7.
Through China's Thousand Talents program, the professor held a concurrent appointment at Northwest Polytech University, one of China's 7 sons of national defense schools that focus on defense R&D.
The investigation examined Chinese language papers published between 2013 and 2019 by 7 Chinese defense institutions in collaboration with U.S. research labs.
If you're collaborating on a particular research project or developing some kind of technology, your partnering organizations in China, do you know who they are? And that matters.
China's creative approach to the practical application of technology is formidable. Much of the basic research is being used in military, defense, or large-scale surveillance fields.
And the challenges that China represents with its military-civil fusion policies, where they're going to try to direct or divert any kind of STEM research for military use. How do we draw any kind of lines? Like, what do we do? Is all STEM research therefore a risk in dealing with China? And that's a hard problem to solve.
The international community has also noticed that since the reform and opening up, China has continuously strengthened legislation and policies on intellectual property protection. In 2019, China revised its patent and trademark laws. The National Intellectual Property Administration also issued several opinions on enhancing intellectual property protection, emphasizing the need to crack down on intellectual property infringements.
In all areas of intellectual property protection, China has actually advanced pretty substantially. Its patent system is more robust. I know that there's been a lot of focus on improving patent litigation in China using Chinese patents, as well as efforts relating to trade secret theft and industrial espionage.
However, these advances have not alleviated concerns in the international community. According to the 2020 China Business Report released by the American Chamber of Commerce in Shanghai, 53.6% of surveyed U.S. companies believe that intellectual property theft by China hinders their business development in China, making it their top concern. Doug Straub, who participated in the survey for this report, believes that China's laws regarding the business environment seem intentionally vague, leaving a lot of room for interpretation.
While these are strengthening, and it is in a way strengthening the rule of law, it's still more self-interested than actually in the interest of rule of law.
In a 2019 report, the FBI identified China as the world's leading intellectual property infringer. It is clear that this title was not earned overnight.
1956, I think it was, maybe earlier, Zhou Enlai was looking at their science plan, and he was unhappy. And he said, "You're trying to do science, but you don't have any mechanism in your plan to look at and acquire what is happening abroad."
By 1958, under then-Premier Zhou Enlai's guidance, the Chinese Government State Council adopted the Plan for Conducting Scientific and Technological Intelligence Work, laying the foundation for China's foreign technology intelligence efforts. This principle of adopting and integrating foreign advancements continues to shape China's approach to international technology transfers today. For most of the more than 40 years since China's reform and opening up, the West has maintained an open and relaxed attitude toward technological cooperation with China.
For many, many years, the U.S. had a different policy towards China. It was much more engaging. They wanted China to become help them rise, to become a responsible world player. And that also included a lot of science, what we would call science diplomacy.
In the early 2010s, U.S.-China scientific cooperation continued to deepen. From 2010 to 2016, the two countries held 7 consecutive U.S.-China Innovation Dialogue meetings. However, as China's global influence grew, Western perceptions, particularly in the U.S., began to shift. This change coincided with a steady decline in U.S.-China relations.
It's doing things that in the opposite direction we would like to see. Right? It's more aggressive militarily with its neighbors, with Taiwan. Its human rights abuses and its mass surveillance apparatus has become very, very widespread and scary. By any measure, all of the things that we care about, intellectual property theft, all of that has increased.
In this context, observers argue that the United States has been too slow in addressing concerns about China's improper technology transfers.
And so I think some similar policies need to be put in place in that respect. I think there does need to be more restrictions on where our taxpayer dollars go and who's allowed to participate.
China's approach to technology acquisition, rooted in learning from foreign strengths to counter foreign powers, has fueled Western suspicion and restricted legitimate exchanges. While nations like Japan and South Korea transition from borrowed technologies to global innovation leaders, China's reliance on shortcuts has limited trust and collaboration. Addressing these challenges will require a critical reassessment of its strategies to foster genuine technological advancement and international cooperation.
中美关系的大门一旦打开，一定能够历经风雨。